Tamily. It is time for our 70-second Ask Tamily interview. Today we are featuring Sarah. And I see that she's joined here. Her screen name is Sarah PGP. Her Instagram handle is Sarah PGP42005. So I am gonna ask her to join. We just ran a test and it worked fantastically, so hopefully this works as well. It does. Hi.
Hi. Is this should I turn my phone?
If you can, yeah. If not, I can turn mine. That works.
Okay.
It looks better on YouTube if we're this way.
No, that's fine. I'll just have to look at you and not look at me because then I look like I'm looking over here. So anyway.
I try and look at your eyes.
Yeah, I'm gonna look at your eyes the whole time. Okay.
There we go.
Well,
hi. Good afternoon. What'd you get?
Well, you said you were getting a mimosa, so I was like, my girlfriend sent me home with this, and last night I went to her house, and it tasted better last night after a tequila, but this is like some sweet apple cider Prosecco vodka drink.
Woo! Well, cheers.
Cheers, my love. Okay.
Happy holidays. Okay. Well, welcome. Thank you for joining us for our 70-second Ask Tamily interview. There are people joining, which means this is actually working, which is fantastic. Usually Suzanne hosts the interviews, but she is on a flight back from Chicago right now, so I'm here with you. And thank you for joining us. So we're going to jump right in with our first and favorite question, which is when and how did you start the Tracy Anderson method?
Okay, so I've always been someone who worked out quite often. It was always something for me, great emotional release. I've always been involved in my health. And I always did sort of very traditional forms of exercise. And after I had my second son, Paul, he was like 4 months. I had 2 C-sections, so I waited till 4 or 5 months to go back in and work out in the gym. And I met up with a trainer. And I was thinking about doing natural bodybuilding because I've always loved working out. And I would go 5 days a week, hour and a half at a time. I was very rigorous about it. And one day I was doing a trap bar, which is, do you know what the trap bar is?
Where you pull down? I don't know.
No, actually, it looks like a kind of a sort of a circle, and you have to put the plates on the bottom, and you do a squat lift.
Okay.
And I was doing about 120 pounds, which I was really strong. But this particular day, I did not listen to my body. I listened to my ego, and I lifted with my lower back. And as soon as I did that, I heard a pop, and I could not stand. And it was extremely frightening. Luckily, there was a chiropractor who brought me in the back. And after a couple months of just resting, so on and so forth, I was looking through magazines, and I saw Tracy Anderson method. This is what Gwyneth is doing, blah, blah, blah. But the thing that really interested me at the time was working out from home, which was never an interest of mine. I'm a very social person. Mm-hmm. I was always I have to go to the workout place to get it in because that's going to inspire me to get it done. But I found with a 2-year-old and, a 5-month-old, it was really hard to get out of the house. And the other thing I liked about it was that it was mostly your own body weight or low weight. And having just hurt myself with such a heavy weight, I was thinking, well, maybe my body might respond better to this very different style of working out. And I started working out at home doing, her 30-minute workouts and, with that droning music on and on and on. But it didn't matter because you got the results, you were seeing things, it was quick, it was efficient. And, that was 11 years ago. So that's how I started.
That's amazing. 11 years. That's, at the beginning, right? I mean.
Yeah.
You started.
Go ahead.
Sorry.
No.
You started with DVDs. Did you go on to, how does it go? It goes meta and then continuity.
Yeah.
Well, and now streaming. So you just kind of went through the whole.
Well, it's interesting because when Graham and Paul were 4 and 6, we moved to Switzerland for 3 years. Mm-hmm. And at that point, I was doing continuity and I was getting the monthly subscriptions. So I had to just buy them up. I took them abroad because at the time, no one in my circle, and certainly, social media was not that much 6-7 years ago. So I didn't know of anybody who did it. So I took it with me to Switzerland, and I just did the continuity. And then I'd have my friend, order one of the cardio DVDs. And it wasn't until I got back to the States, like 3 years later, and I was on Facebook page, and I typed up something about Tracy Anderson to see what she was doing. And there was a Facebook group, and I was like, the people that do her workout? Like, you're kidding me. Like, there are other people. And that's where I found Tiffany Ann. Mm-hmm. And she and I connected initially on essential oils because I learned about them in Switzerland. And then she said, oh, well, Tracy has live streaming. And I was like, what? She has live streaming? So I sort of got onto the streaming thing, I think, a year after it started, because I didn't know about it when I was abroad. So, yeah.
She was an advertiser abroad, right? It was just like,
well, no one knew about her. I mean, people knew her like, oh, she worked out with Madonna, she worked out with Gwyneth, but that sort of advertising can be very short-lived, and it's like, okay, what celebrity's doing what right now? But I knew from having done her content for a few years that it was like legitimate stuff. Like, this wasn't a flash in the pan. So it was so awesome to think, wow, like, I can follow her, like, she's in the studio week to week, because I didn't have that access in Europe. We moved actually to DC, which wasn't there. So it was great. So then I've been doing streaming since I've been back in the States. So yeah.
Yeah. So what do you think? I remember my first streaming, and I was like,
oh, Jeanette, oh, look at,
dude. Oh,
I love her. She's like my black girl crush. I'm like, damn.
She's amazing. She is amazing. I mean, maybe we can get you on here one day, Courtney. I mean,
I know, Courtney. I know she needs to get on there. Actually, I asked her if I can do a one-on-one session because, and that's the other thing about Tracy. Like, like Courtney, she's very athletic, and I have a very athletic build. And when I found as I've gotten older, I'm 44, my body, I puts on muscle very heavily. It's not heavy, but I just build it quickly. And as I've gotten older, I didn't want that look anymore. And Tracy has always kept me in that strong, leaner, feminine look. And Courtney is so fit and athletic, and she's proof that, she's just great. So anyway.
You don't need 120-pound trap bumpers.
No, you don't.
Right.
No, you don't. No, you don't. But you also have to know your body, and you have to be okay with, there are different phases in your life, especially as a woman, where, your estrogen levels are here, your cortisol levels are here, and certain types of exercise are going to ramp that up. Like, for instance, I don't do Attain that much because my like happy lane is intermediate or fundamental, whatever she's calling it now, like, because that gives me the results but doesn't jack up my cortisol levels. Okay. So I'm happy there. Once in a while I'll jump to Attain, and it's definitely more tiring, but I find to get the results that I want, I don't need to do that. So
that's interesting.
Yeah.
I wonder if others feel the same way. I kind of see results better with fundamental or intermediate, but I'm like, my brain says you're at this level, so you need to be doing this class. So what results have you seen? So from the injury, this obviously helped the injury because you're still here.
Yeah.
What results physically you stayed lean and like where you want the muscle, not too muscly, but what other results have you seen?
I found that my posture is better. And it's interesting because we move around a lot for my husband's job. So we're now in Philadelphia, and we may actually move abroad again. But we're here in Philadelphia, and I joined a country club to meet people and get my kids involved. And I started playing racket sports. And I started playing tennis, which I love. But I noticed that my back was getting super cranky, and my posture, because of the stance, was starting to be the opposite of what Tracy wants, is to open up. And I started getting rounded, and I found that between my scapula, that part of my back started doing this. And I started having sciatic issues and lots of different things. So I noticed within that year, all of the exercises that I had been doing for 10 years, the results started to shift. And I noticed my posture, I wasn't walking as tall, which is what I find that when you do Tracy, she really opens up this part of your body, which is so important as we age. And she strengthens those upper back muscles that help support your upper body and keeping your shoulders back. But when I was playing tennis like 4 or 5 days a week, because I loved it, I was noticing that was changing. I was also noticing I didn't have like such a cinched waist. And I was also noticing that, my butt was still firm, but because her exercises worked a lot of accessory muscles that lift the larger ones, I was noticing my larger muscles were starting to overtake that, and I was losing that subtle lift. Mm-hmm. So having gone to a different activity, I totally appreciate more what Tracy's moves have done for my body. And you really notice that when you shift your regimen. And so now I only play tennis twice a week. Well, right now I don't because it's off season, I'm playing paddle, but I only play it twice a week, and I try and do more of Tracy. But if I just commit with her, my posture's better, my legs are leaner, I'm more cinched, my shoulders are less rolled. So for my body, that's like where I can definitely see a big shift when I don't do her regularly. And those lines are so Tracy specific that if you do other workouts, they will mess with it. So yeah. And it's not bad, but you can't get upset at the method if you're like, I'm looking like this, but I'm, running 4 days a week. And that's totally fine. And it's okay. But you can't say the method isn't doing what she's saying if you're incorporating other forms of exercise. So
Exactly. The tell yourself the truth.
Yeah, no, yeah. I mean, and it's okay. And I find I find women, we're so many times, and I know Tracy has talked about this for many years, so many times we look out of ourselves for answers, and we want to that's the reason this isn't working, or that over there is not this, and that isn't there. But it really is about your internal mind and intention, and are you really doing things the right way? Are you doing it the prescribed way? And if you're not, that's not on the creator's fault. It's more,
Yeah. And there's a level of that, right? There's because we're working at home, we're responsible for pushing through, showing up. It's an empowering way to work out, really. But you do have to hold yourself accountable. If you're going to follow her 100%, great. And if you're not, then be okay with that, right?
Yeah.
We all have different lives, and
Yeah, you do. You do. And I think, I remember reading one of your questions, which was going back to, have you ever inspired someone to stay with Tamily? And I think what you just said, showing up at home, is really hard. And I find that I've always talked about what I do, my workout. People always give me compliment, not always, but wow, you look this and that. And I'm like, yeah, well, I do the Tracy Anderson method. You should come over. But I think the dedication of being at home is very hard for people, because it's very hard to get off the couch. Maybe you need to wake up at 5 a.m. Maybe, you have young children, and gosh, working out to you is not being interrupted by little kids on a mat. It's, you can't. But I find that her method it can be very challenging for people to want to do it because of that reason, when you don't have a job and stuff like that. So, I never inspired anybody to stick with the method, but people always complimented me. But I think it's just a hard thing to get around,
It is. And it's, it's hard to show up for yourself, whatever you're doing. Working out is hard. It's a dedication. This is not
right.
the morning cup of tea all the time. But the payoff is huge. So
yeah, no, it's huge, and you feel so much better that you did it, and but it's a lifestyle. Every it's a lifestyle. So it's hard. It's hard, but it's a lifestyle.
So on the days when you aren't feeling motivated, like how do you keep yourself accountable? How do you not really hold yourself accountable, but how do you show up on the days when you're like, Jesus, I can't do this. This is not going to happen.
Yeah. It's interesting because each time that happens, there could be a different reason which holding you back from working out. So it's either, for me, it's either hormonal, which, some days if you push through it, you feel so much better. Sometimes you're just, overtired, and you show up on the mat and you're like, it was the best workout ever. And you're like, and then you remember that and you're like, okay, I know if I just give myself 10 minutes, if I just get through the arms, I'll be fine. And usually that works. But some days I allow myself not to just work out because I know that I'm a very consistent, I show up consistently. I know that if I take 2 days off because maybe mentally or physically I need a break, I know I'll be there on the third day. So I find that as I've gotten older, I sort of listen to what is the reason behind me not wanting to work out. If I'm just being dumb lazy, then yes, get up. But if it's some other things, I'll give myself a pass. And I wouldn't do that in my 20s and 30s because I think you're so intense about, at least for me at that stage of my life, you're so intense about looking a certain way and having everything under control, especially as a new mom. You put so much pressure on yourself that you're like, I can't have a day off, or I can't, I'm this is horrible if I don't show up today. And I don't have that conversation with myself anymore. I just listen to my body, and if like emotionally I'm just like, no, I'm not doing it, and it feels legitimate, then I won't. But if it's hormonal and lazy, I push through it because I know that if I do show up, I'll feel better. So
right. Yeah,
it just depends on like the conversation I'm having. But it's always about, if I don't work out, I know it's okay because I am going to show up. It's going to happen. So yeah.
Yep.
And I think that's important too. And I think, Tracy, I know sometimes in interviews she'd be like, I didn't work out for a week. And you're like, oh, you didn't work out for a week? Like, it happens and it's okay. And because her method allows you that time, you're not going to like slide backwards, you're not going to lose what you've done. And it's okay to take a break. And I like that she's pushed that message more in the past 3 years. I think as she's gotten older, I think she's, she's not so much the 5 to 6 days a week. She's more realistic in everyone's lifestyle. But as long as you're consistent with it, it's okay if you don't show up. Give yourself a break. So
yeah.
But yeah.
Know yourself, right?
Yeah. Know yourself, and like it's okay, and so it's a combination of things that motivates me.
yeah. Have you met Tracy in person?
I have met Tracy in person. I have, and it was I just got back from the States, and it was the Got Your Girl Back thing. Mm-hmm. And I had my little group, and then we decided to do the mini Vitality Week in Orlando. Mm-hmm. And that was, I guess, 5 years ago, I think. Anyway, so I went there, and when I saw her, it was like a celebrity experience, because I'm like, she's like a real person. She's not like on a TV screen. Like, you're actually like real. And I wasn't like freaking out, but it was like, wow, it's like when you always seen someplace in one location and then you see them like in another and you're like, oh, you're like a real person. But I was really impressed with seeing the nuances of her moves, which you really don't get to see on TV or DVD. And even in trainer breakdowns, you don't quite understand the total engagement of the upper body and how you're not sitting in your joints. You're not, you know, it's all very lifted and engaged. And seeing her do that in person really changed my outlook on the workout. And then I remember, you know, she has a period where you ask questions. So I asked this one question, which she was totally mortified about. I was like, so I get this question a lot about how is your cardio not like Zumba? And she was like, Zumba? Okay, first of all, Zumba wanted to buy my content, okay? And I was like, no, because I need to control what I do. And those are not Zumba moves. Like, but it was hilarious. Like, he was like totally shocked I even asked that question. But I was like, it's a legitimate question because how is your dance cardio different than others? And that's what someone's going to think about. And I said, that's not what I think when I look at it. But people always ask about your workout. And you know, so she was very, very protective of the message that she wants people to get about her content and what she's saying. And I really appreciate that level of professionalism. Like, she wasn't going to try and sell me, oh, yeah, well, maybe I should tell her it is like Zumba because maybe she's interested in Zumba. No, she was like, no, it's not the same thing. And then she did like a body assessment of my body.
Oh, you got the poke.
I got the poke. And I stood up and she's like touching my back and she goes, she lifts my butt. She goes, this is old.
Oh, God.
And I was like, what do you mean it's old? She's like, no, it's old. She's like, were you a runner?
Oh. And
I used to run a lot of half marathons. So she knew that my butt was sagging, and when she meant old, she meant like this is like you've been doing a certain workout for a long time that kind of created this stuck thing about your lower glute.
Yeah.
And even though I was doing Tracy, I still was running a lot, hence mixing forms of exercise.
Yeah.
And she said, you need to do masters, because it's called masters at the time, and keep doing that to lift it. And but I really enjoyed meeting her. She was very professional and very sincere, and, you know, yeah, she really protects and cares about what she's developing. So
yeah,
that was cool to see. She wasn't trying to sell me something, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. When I talk to people about going to whatever studio or Vitality Week, they're like, well, is Tracy going to be there? I'm like, yes. There. Like, this is her thing. And they're always amazed that, I think because she gets labeled a celebrity trainer,
Yeah.
she is actually an everyday person trainer who happens to have had celebrity clients.
Yeah. And it's interesting because I remember I used to text her and stuff a lot, and she would text me back, which I thought was so wild. Mm-hmm. And then I had a slight falling out with her.
Oh, shoot.
I had a slight falling out because when I started playing tennis, my back was hurting. Mm-hmm. And I remember texting her saying, I'm having problems with my back, Can you tell me why? And I didn't hear back from her. And in the same time, and this is God honest truth, I did not realize that Simone de la Rue used to work with her. You know, Body by Simone?
Oh, really? Oh, I didn't.
So Body by Simone de la Rue used to be one of her trainers and used to train a couple celebrities at the New York studio.
Oh.
And I did not know that. And I did not know they did not leave on good terms.
Oh.
So I started posting, and because Tracy pays attention, like you said, she's not just like someone for celebrities, like she is paying attention. I put on that, I started doing Body by Simone. I said, and I put Tracy's handle. I was like, she's not like Tracy Anderson, but she used to work with her, and certain moves were more like, you use more bands, you use like a little bit of a heavier weight, but I was trying to figure out how do I help my back. And the message I got from Tracy was insane. It was, I can't believe you're promoting her, and can't believe you don't know what happened. And I was so dumbfounded because I was like, first of all, no, I didn't. And second of all, she like took it so personally, and it was so like, it was almost like a girlfriend got upset with you because like she's so invested in what she's doing. Right. And when she talks to anybody, be it Tamily or whatever, she's invested in you. And I did not realize that that is what happened. And literally within 2 days, she was on the telephone with me talking to me about it. And, why, she got into some of the details about that relationship, but more importantly, it was like, I'm sorry you didn't realize that. I didn't mean to blow up at you, but I just take it really personally because what happened to me. And I totally get it. It's like, if a girl did you wrong in your life, and then someone gives some semi-praise to her, and it's something about her method, I can see how she'd take it personally. But I was so shocked that, like, like she was beyond upset, but
and you didn't know.
I didn't know, but it was like, I felt like I was having a fight with a girlfriend. Like, it was like, whoa.
Well, and that's just speaks to Tracy. So did you? Yes. You obviously you came back to Tracy, and you're back.
No one else cares so much. Yeah, she does exactly. Yeah. Like, it was like, it wasn't. I was like, this is the woman that's on Health Magazine. But she's taking the time to tell me, hey, I'm kind of hurt that you, like, it was like a real person, and that was like, wow. So, yeah,
she's fully invested in this community, so much so that sometimes I think she's a little telepathic. Like, she'll say things, and I'm like,
oh, really?
She tapping into my phone, like, or there will be a move or something, and I'm like, what? Wait a minute. Or even by a Vitality Week, I had this, thing about kicking back, and she told me what to do, and then the next day I was like, oh, you did that move today? She's like, yes. I'm like, oh. You're not, this is, anyway, she's the real deal. If anybody is not convinced of that, just, I don't know, sit in the same room.
No, it's something because I talked to Tiffany Ann about this a lot, because Tiffany's very close with Tracy, and she has been for many years. And, and she's so still very much in contact with her. And she's like, it's interesting how she has been able to maintain that sense of approachability has grown, as her brand has grown, as people have left, started new things, took some of her stuff, didn't take some of her stuff, did this, but she's still, I would say she's still like the girl from the Midwest, but she still maintained approachability. So that says a lot about her as a human. It does. It's a hard thing to master, especially as a woman. I mean, it's hard. So yeah.
And to not, to really stick true to your content.
Yeah.
You're like, like she said about Zumba. I've heard that other places. I mean, I'm
you
sure.
Have?
People, what's that?
You have heard about that, but the Zumba,
not Zumba, but other, like, they, try and franchise her, or try and, sell this or do this, and
right.
I mean,
she's not interested in that. Like,
no.
She's not. Which, and it's funny because, New York. I live in Philly, and New York is not that far. But for me to go up on the weekend, I have no reason to go to Manhattan. So I know people go up there because maybe they have a job or they know people or so on and so forth, and like, I don't have access to her studio. So it's like, that is a legit experience. And it's admirable that she did not try and just mass open all these studios just to reach people. I mean, she's really tried to keep it contained as much as she can and slowly roll it out. But it can be hard when, you wish you could pop in twice a month somewhere. It's challenging. It's challenging. That's the one thing from working out from home, is that you don't get to have your moves fine-tuned like if you're at a gym or a studio. Mm-hmm. You have a trainer walking around and say, uh-oh.
Yeah. Hips. Yeah, that's where you have
your hips, do this, lift here. Like, I miss that, because even though I've been doing it for 11 years, 1 week your body might feel weak. 1 week you may not be mentally connecting. 1 week, you know what I mean? And every week, a lot of the moves are very familiar, but the series of them make you move differently. So you kind of miss out on a lot of that help when you work out from home. And I think that's also, like, sometimes people will complain about my back hurts or my neck hurts, or if you're doing the moves properly, and going back to probably why I don't do Attain, is that I don't think I fully connect as well in Attain, and I don't think I get the results that she wants someone to get because I'm not connecting. And I'm okay with that. I don't need to, like, I'll do it once in a while, but if I don't have someone there to help me understand it better, I'm not going to get the results, and I may injure myself. And you can, because if you are just dumping, you're going to hurt your neck. You're going to hurt, you're going to hurt yourself. And, that's hard that you can't get the help you need it, but at the same time, I appreciate that she's kept her organization small. So
together, yeah. I mean, it makes sense, and then you kind of lean on the Tamily, right?
Yeah, no, you do, and you know which people to talk to because you see how they work out, and and also, like, even Courtney, like, she's invested too. So, like, if you text her or you say, hey, like, she'll say something, but within the Tamily, I think not everybody does it correctly. I know there are moves I'm not doing correctly. I think because my hips are not very loose. Like, I work so hard to get that extended leg, and I just can't get it. So I certainly don't want someone asking me for advice how to get that extended leg.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I know there's certain Tamily that I'm like, okay, what is she engaging more to get that lift? Because I'm missing it, So I think you rely on Tamily to help you out, on some of this stuff.
So, which leads me to the Tamily. So, who in the Tamily inspires you?
Oh, who in the Tamily inspires me? Boy, gosh. All right, well, let me think. First person I'm going to say is obviously Tiffany Ann. Because she and I are very similar. We have very similar childhoods. We look at exercise as a way of coping mentally and emotionally. I'm a very naturally high running person. I have slight anxiety, but not anxiety. It's just like excess energy. I totally know I'm like ADD or ADHD. Both my kids are, but women when I was growing up were not diagnosed at that. So I find that Tiffany and I have always looked for exercise as a way of centering ourselves, and she's always been someone who's shown up to do that. And that's my daughter. I know, she's the greatest. I'm talking about her. Pay attention.
Yeah.
Next time you get mad at her, you remember what I'm saying. Don't you? But she always leaves it on the mat. And Tiffany and I have always thought, like, the mat is like our church, like our personal church where we connect. And I love that Tracy does not talk because you can just be with the movement and the music. And even if Tiffany has stuff going on in her life, she always goes back to it. She always finds ways to reconnect. And Tiffany was really my inspiration for getting part of the Tamily and everything. I have to say, in terms of lines, Loretta.
Yeah. I mean, seriously, come on.
I mean, she's the gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah.
She's fantastic. And then, is it Mountain Tam, the beautiful girl in Dubai?
Oh, Muna. Yeah. Seriously.
She's another gift that keeps on gifting. Like, that's what I'm talking about, like, the leg extension. Like, she and Lorena, and I've been watching Lorena for years. And her, like, Muna I've only seen just, like, a couple years. But they are absolute consistency of how your body can extend through the method. So athletically, they always, like, okay, like, my body's not their body. It's never going to be. It's my body. But I appreciate and can see if I just push this much more, if I just, they're, like, athletically very inspiring to me. Another one that's very inspiring to me. oh my gosh, I know their handle names, but what, like, oh my gosh, I'm speaking out right now. My beautiful girl who like lives in North Carolina, she just had a baby. Now she looks phenomenal. Tam for life.
Tam for life.
Tam? Yes. She did a Tamily. We did Tam Camp a few years ago. At Tiffany's at Rachel's house. Our V Love's house. And, I met her there, and she's like really great, and she's such a great spirit, and she's one of those girls that just like shows up consistently and just she's always like, you inspire me, and I'm like, really? Like, okay. And then I'm trying to think. I mean, so many women, even those that stopped doing Tracy, because I find there's this common core amongst the women that do this method that you just want to support each other. And, you know, I didn't do Tracy that much for a year, and then I came back because I was figuring out my back and tennis and all this jazz, and it wasn't exactly a year. I was still doing it, but not like how I'm doing it again. But they're like, wow, it's so good to see you again, and da-da-da-da. You know, I mean, it doesn't matter. Everyone is supporting each other, and, you know, I can't think of all the names, but pretty much everyone I follow is really great. And Christina, you know, for Love of the Peachy Bottom. Oh, gosh. She came to the Tam Camp with, I introduced her in with, like, Tiffany and Rachel, and she came down to Virginia. And she has so much wonderful creative energy, and she's just this, like, when you meet her, she's, like, full-on, like, love energy and positivity. And even though I know she's been through a lot, she's doing a lot, she's been trying to balance a lot, she just has this light and positive push about her. So I love that sort of spiritual sense of her. Like, she inspires me that way. So I think, you know, yeah, there's like I think that's what I can think of. I kind of brain dead with names.
I do the same thing.
Like, oh no.
We all need, like, our handle, a shirt with our handle on it, and then, like, our real name below it or something.
So what is your handle mean? What's the significance of yours?
Well, my last name is Holmes.
Right. And then,
so I always got Hey Holmes, and some other person has Hey Holmes, so I'm Hey Holmes 1.
Oh, I like that. So
what about you?
Mine is Sarah, and then it's Peter, my husband, Graham, Paul, the month I was married, and the year.
Fantastic.
So it's a little, I remember, like, Tracy first, because Tiffany was telling Tracy about it, she's like, what does that mean? Like, it's, like, totally random. Like, it's just, like, it's so random, but it's very personal to me, so.
No, it means.
But now I like that. Hey Holmes, because, like, people would call it. That's really cool.
Hey Holmes. I used to get that. And then is your Uncle Sherlock. I'm like, yank. Okay.
Oh my gosh, that is true.
Actually, no. My uncle is Kevin.
Well, I don't see any questions from anybody.
I don't either, but I have a lot of questions left on here. I'm just going to scroll through, and you might want to scroll. Instagram has been weird about the comments, so it might not show up when we save this.
Don't worry about it.
I don't pay attention. Everyone loves you. You're fantastic. You're amazing. This person said we're MILFs. I don't know who that is, and if they comment, I shouldn't have even said anything, honestly. Because I don't know how to bless them.
Okay, as long as I don't see you say it to my face, if you want to say it right now, I'm fine. 44. I got hit on at a funeral. I work part-time at a funeral parlor.
Yeah.
And I hit on at a funeral, and I was like, it was the funniest thing ever. I was like, okay. The guy was like, are you the boss here? And I was like, whoa, that's a good line. I was like, no, but I could get her for you. I could get the director. He's like, well, no, you're stunning, and I see you're married, but if you want to get a drink sometime. I'm like, oh, you were just standing in the family line. Like, okay, like, anyway. I thought it was like a Wedding Crashers moment. It was very funny.
Wrong time. Not interested and wrong time.
Grief is an aphrodisiac. Anyway.
That's funny.
Did you see that movie, Wedding Crashers?
Yes.
Oh, so
hilarious. Several times I've seen it. Every time something new, something fun.
I know. I can't wait for the boys to be old. My oldest is only 13, so he's not old enough, but it's just the humor is best spot on. It's really fun.
Yeah, it's good. Let's see here. See, Suzanne's like fantastic at this. Doesn't even have to look at her notes. But what do your friends and family think of Tracy?
honest about that one. First, my husband finds it very inspiring because I always show up, and he works quite a bit, and I'm a stay-at-home mom, so I don't want to say I have the luxury, but I kind of do have the luxury to find a way to work out, and he doesn't, so he's like, okay, I need to show up 3 times a week and do it, and he's always been impressed that I have this saying where you should always try and be your husband's girlfriend, because if you don't show up for yourself, you don't feel sexy, you don't feel this, you don't feel that, and therefore you don't put attention in your relation. I mean, that's just my philosophy. It might be like old school, but it has done so much for me as being a feminine woman and feeling good about my body. And my husband sees that and has always seen that throughout our marriage. And he's just like, it's inspiring that you take care of yourself. And her method teaches you to take care of yourself. So he's positive. I do have a couple of friends who have a more conventional way of working out. Very much disagree with what I'm doing. They don't like that I'm on all fours a lot. They don't like that, you do this stuff with your arms. You don't understand the purpose of it. They find that it's going to damage my body a little bit more. Meaning, I can see some things. Like if you notice with Tracy, when she's on all fours, a lot of times she'll hold herself up like this.
I'm sitting here like this right now.
Yeah. But if you look at her hands, her knuckles are a little swollen. Now, I don't know if that's just her body or not, but I find that if I do this too much, it puts too much pressure. Now, she knows what she's doing, so she knows exactly how to do it. Going back to if you don't pay attention, I find if I do this a lot, I'm hurting my hand because I'm not engaging my arm as much. Does that make sense? In my body weight, I'm putting it. So my friend who sees that, she's like, look at knuckles, they look swollen. And she makes these comments. I'm like, yeah, but if you're not, it's a lot of people who don't understand it and never tried it, basically. So I understand you saying that it might be hard on the joints, but if you are lifting other parts of your body, you really aren't putting pressure on your hand.
It's about here.
It's about in here. But and I'm not saying that Tracy has knuckles like that. I'm just saying that's what someone pointed out to me. I missaid it, but I can get it if you don't do it, but you can't make comments if you've never tried it.
Right.
So I've had people say that. I've had people say that my workout is obsessive. I work out too much. And I'm like, listen, in my 30s, yes, I could do an hour a day and then go run 10 miles. I can't do that anymore. I'm 44 and my body doesn't need that, but showing up every day in some way is not obsessive. And I don't understand why women can be judgy like that sometimes. Like, well, you work out every day, then you must be this, or you. It's like, what? Why? Like,
yeah.
I'm healthy. I'm happy. There's something very beneficial of showing up every day for yourself. Be it a 30-minute walk, be it an hour on the mat. If your body loves it, needs it, do it. But don't pass judgment thinking I have an obsessive disorder because I work out often. Like, I've gotten that before.
Yeah.
So I've gotten more negative comments than positive, I have to say. Because I think, unfortunately, the culture that we have of fitness and health, it's overly opinionated and judgy. And, I've been very lucky to maintain my, I'm probably 6 pounds more than I was when I got married. And it's gone up to 15 pounds. It's gone, but I've maintained. And it's because the lifestyle I've chosen, and it's not excessive. It's just, you're being consistent, and that's one thing I find like really, people can be very negative about the method, and that's not what she's preaching.
Right.
So,
Right.
But the people that know me, like my husband, my parents, a couple good friends, they get it and they're like in awe. They're like, I can't believe you can do that movement. Like, how do you do that? Or I'm like, you know, it's amazing what your body can do and moving like that. And I want to be a grandmother who can get on the floor and play with her grandchildren.
Yeah.
So if that means I'm doing some weird lifted, twisty move, that's fine, because I feel like my posture is better and it's working. But just don't be negative about it, you know?
Right. Yeah, it's a. I get the same thing. I think I'm seeing.
You really?
Other people, yeah, just that, you know, they don't understand it. Whatever. But it's kind of a reflection of, you know, our society. Like, how can you shame someone for wanting to live a healthful life and to lead that in their own way? Like,
I don't, but I find it's because they, listen, and I mean, do you have children?
I do. I have a 22-year-old daughter.
Okay, well then you've been through it. So,
yeah.
Meaning my son's 13, and he comes home and he's like, "Were kids like this when you were younger?" And I'm like, "Graham, they're still like that as adults, okay? You either, if you do not feel good about yourself, if you are feeling insecure or unhappy about something you're doing in your life, you are going to say something negative about somebody else. So you always remember it has nothing to do with you."
Yeah.
So when I have women that, "Oh, you're so thin," or, "Oh," I mean, you know, we've all heard these most ridiculous comments, not compliments, comments.
Yeah.
It's not a reflection on yourself, it's a reflection on them. So it's not a reflection on Tracy Anderson's method. You don't understand it. Come over and try it with me. If you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. But, you know, just don't make uneducated comments. And I find you get that a lot when you tell people you do the method.
Right. And it's physical. Like Kathy in the comments just said, who complains about someone who brushes their teeth 2 times a day? No one.
That's a very good point. And that's what Tracy said. It's like brushing your teeth.
Yeah.
You show up. You take care of your health. Why is that a horrible thing? It's not. But
right.
I find that we still are stuck in that, even though it's such a huge moneymaker business, health and fitness and wellness and but people are still adverse to it. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy. Yeah. So.
Welcome to America. So if anyone in the chat right now has questions, please post them now. We're at we've got about 15 minutes, a little less than 15 minutes left. And Instagram will cut us off, and that's never fun. But what is something, we kind of covered this, but maybe you have something else. So what is something you've learned from Tracy?
I'm going to say that, kind of going back to what we were just talking about, showing up for yourself is okay. Mm-hmm. It's okay. And it's a needed thing. And the idea of the mind-body connection is really important to have. And once you do that, you find that other things in your day and your life don't bother you as much, because you're connecting with your body and you're releasing what needs to be released, and understanding the power of that and showing up and doing her method. That has been the biggest lesson I've learned. The biggest lesson, because, you know, there's so many unhealthy ways to deal with life. Now, of course, I like having like a couple glasses of wine a day, or, you know, but there's so many unhealthy forms of behavior, be it over drinking, overeating, over shopping, promiscuous. I mean, it could be all these different things. But if you show up for yourself every day, be it working out or some way, it makes things so much easier to deal with in life.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest thing that she's really taught me, is that it's important to take care of yourself, because if you don't take care of yourself, you can't be the best friend to other people, you can't be the best mother, you can't be the best teacher or the best person at work. Whatever you do, you can't be the best version of yourself if you do not show up for you first. And I think that's her biggest lesson. So, yeah.
No one else can do it for you.
No.
We're all responsible.
Yeah. No one. And I think that's a really hard thing to admit to yourself. I think it's really hard to admit that, you're going to come up short, you're going to fail, you're afraid. Sometimes you're afraid of success, so you don't make the effort. But if you do something small every day for yourself, and for me it's exercise, but maybe for somebody else it's painting, maybe for somebody else it's gardening, or doing volunteer work, or maybe it's just doing a great day, just being showing up at work every day. Like, whatever it is, it's always coming back to you. So, and that lesson can be, transferable to so many different things. So, yeah, I would say that's it.
It's an amazing lesson.
Yeah.
That's an amazing learn from Tracy. Okay, so Hannah has a question. She asks, what's the hardest thing about being a stay-at-home mom? Let me make sure. Wait. I didn't ask that right because I can't see. What's the hardest thing and best thing about being a stay-at-home mom?
Okay. Well, I guess I think the hardest thing was the beginning, because I thought I had such a really awesome career. I went to NYU and I studied art history. I worked at Pace Wildenstein Blue Chip Gallery, where you represent Picasso and Donald Judd and so on and so forth, and I learned how to sell art. And I was selling some Gottliebs that were like a couple $100,000 a year. And then I moved to Philadelphia with an ex-boyfriend, which is stupid, but I ended up meeting my husband, so it worked out. It was like one of those dumb girl decisions, like emotional decisions, like, I'm stressed at work, I'm just going to move with my boyfriend 2 hours away. Like, it was so stupid, but it worked out. But then I was a photography gallery director in Philly, and I knew I always wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. My mom was a stay-at-home mom. I mean, she worked in her parents' gallery, so she could, go there and take care of me most of the day, but then she'd show up and do a couple hours a week. So, but I knew that is what I wanted. And when I met my husband, we were dating, we had like a really honest conversation with each other, where he was like, I want a wife who wants to stay home. And I said, yeah, I want a husband who wants to support that. Now, that doesn't mean that life isn't going to change, because it does change. I'm working part-time at a funeral home now. But so, I mean, it does change. But giving up that identity of myself was so hard. And, pushing the stroll around the mall, I was like, what the fuck? This was not my life like 2 years ago. Okay, this was not it. I was in Manhattan doing my thing. I was here, and now I'm pushing it around Montgomery Mall, Pennsylvania. Like, this is not my life. So, which is so stupid, because that's not a horrible thing. But dealing with the loss of identity.
Yeah.
The greatest thing, though, is I feel like I have done a wonderful job with my 2 boys. I feel like they have taught me so much about myself. I have such a greater sense of humor about myself as a woman. I'm not so hard on myself as a woman. I'm not as self-centered. I'm more patient, and I want to give love first rather than be judgy and like 20-something know it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, I've matured. I think being a mother has really matured me a lot. And, your children don't ask to be here. So I take it very seriously being a mom. And for me, the only way I could do that was being a stay-at-home mom. And I applaud women that have a full-time job and they got to do this and that, because women don't do things less than 100%. At least we try not to. And I can't imagine what that's like. I mean, this is my life. Like, I worked 3 funerals this week, and it was like 5 hours a day, and I felt like such a diva. I come home like, I don't know how you do it. I worked 15 hours this week, and then I still need to take care of the house. I mean, I sound such a spoiled brat, but that is I know I'm not a great multitasker. Do you know what I mean? So for me to be the best mom, I have to be a stay-at-home. That's just best for me. Yeah. But and with being a mom, I know my limitations too. I'm not a superwoman that has the full-time career and this and that, and I'm okay with that, and that's what feminism is. It's being okay with what you're doing, applauding other women and choices that they've made, and being okay with that. And that, going back to being a stay-at-home mom, also, I had some flack from my friends who couldn't imagine not going back to work, you know, and like one was like, what are you going to do? You know, you went to college and stuff. I'm like, okay, first of all, I didn't get a master's or a doctorate. So I might be more pissed at that because that's a lot of money that you spent. But that's okay. That's not what I wanted to do, you know? So.
Oh, yeah. It's the flack, you know? I think that's something we learn through this community. Just freaking stop judging people.
So stupid. Everybody
has their own story. Stop being judgy, wedgy, and do your thing.
Well,
let people do their thing.
And I mean, I just have to say, like I said, the reason I got into funerals is my friend's husband used to own this company. He left, but he was looking for women because women add so much more to that experience of helping people with grief. And he was really looking for women to help. And I'm telling you, like, since I started working there, I don't worry about shit because your whole life is going to be on a poster board one day, okay? So if you want to waste time being judgy and negative and, you know, with each other, with other women, like, that is not a good use of your time on earth. It's not. No. It's not. And I have little patience and tolerance for women not supporting each other. And of course everyone gets a little judgy and weird. We're human. But the one thing about the Tamily is that most of them are just happy to see you.
Yeah.
Hey, you showed up today. That's awesome. Way to go. Hope you feel better. Oh, I'm sorry, your arm hurts. Like, Christina, what can we do? You're just trying to help each other get through the day.
Yeah.
You know?
It's the truth. It's the truth. And that's, you know, it's very interesting. We only have a few minutes left, but,
I babble.
No, you're fine. The point of your life will be on a poster board just freaking resonates with me. It makes me like kind of emotional because it's so true.
Yeah.
Like losing someone you really care about, been through that experience. I mean, we just have to fucking relax.
Yeah.
Our lives. That's it. So really fast, there's no more questions in the chat, but I love to do these like speed round ask Tam.
Okay.
We're gonna do them really fast. All right. We only have 3 minutes, and I don't want to get cut off. And if we do get cut off, I just want to say thank you for joining us today.
Aww,
you're fantastic.
Thank you. I hope I can talk a lot. My husband's like, you're the longest storyteller. I can't.
No.
Maybe because I'm a stay-at-home mom, and you know, I don't need to shut shit down. I just talk. So.
That's amazing. That's what this is all about. We just had a fantastic chat. We could like chat for hours and hours. So.
I know. Okay.
Okay. So here we go. Speed round. Texting or talking?
Talking.
Favorite day of the week?
Wednesday.
Favorite city in the U.S. besides the one you live in?
Manhattan.
Nickname your parents used to call you?
Black Widow.
Oh my God. Last song you downloaded?
Calling All by Fantagram.
Fantastic. Would you rather? Sorry. Would you rather? What's that? Black Widow. I'm gonna have to. You're gonna have to post about that. Would you rather be able to speak every language in the world or be able to talk to animals?
Talk to animals.
Yes. Favorite holiday?
Halloween.
How long does it take you to get ready in the morning?
Less than 5 minutes.
Awesome. Invisibility.
No, I'm joking.
Maybe it's Maybelline.
Yeah. Or injectables. I'm joking. Anyway, go ahead.
Invisibility or super strength?
What would be my super strength?
Would you choose invisibility or super strength?
Invisibility.
Yes. Cake or pie?
Cake. Icing only.
Oh. Favorite number?
Oh. I'm going to say... Oh, wow. I don't think I have it. I like 11. That seems balanced. I'm a Libra.
What's your middle name?
Elizabeth.
Say a word in Spanish.
Quisiera.
Ooh, yes. Okay, and here's just one I added talking because I'm an oil person too. Your favorite oil?
My favorite peppermint.
Yes, mine too.